Hello everybody, this is Gary Carboraider back again and with another video just like last time where I'm going to talk about multiple things of the big things that happened in August. One is the Olympics, which I ended up watching some of even though I made a video putting down the Olympics years back. Another thing is that the word weird has gone viral and it gives me the opportunity to bring up the memorable time that I used that word and to talk about Frank Tufano. And I also have some comments on the Democrats' National Convention. And the final topic is war. It's good for plenty. So the Olympics. I've talked about the many problems of the Olympics, but a week into it, I ended up watching about 8 hours of it. Track and field, gymnastics, and the closing ceremony. Oh, and a little of the new sport that was added this time. When I first heard people on social media saying that there's breakdancing in the Olympics, I thought they were joking. I thought that was kind of silly until I watched some and then realized, well, that could be competitive sport just like synchronized swimming. Artistic is what they call it these days. And it was pretty fun to see the culture displayed, the attitude. The competitors were pretty amazing. Well, there was one competitor that was not so amazing. She got all the attention. That's RayGun from Australia. I'm sure you've all heard about her.
Her breakdancing had everyone talking for all the wrong reasons.
I say, yeah, it was good to be creative. She did add fun to it, but at the same time, I say she may have made a mockery to the sport and made a mockery of Australia and also the Olympics in general, which reminds me of one of the things I don't like about the Olympics. Well, a lot of the complaints I have are exemplified here. The fact that she got into the Olympics, which got me to think of a great line that I used on social media. I posed the question, did Australian Olympian RayGun get under the radar? Or you could say, get down under the radar. And speaking of under the radar, I have some great segues. A recent video I did make on the Olympic marathon. I thought that video would go under the radar. Since my channel is so small, I didn't think NBC's people would find it, but they did. I used some of the footage, and they don't allow that. That's why you can't find much footage of the Olympics, like RayGun's performance. So they took down my video. And here I'll take the opportunity to say something that I haven't gotten out anywhere else. In thinking about RayGun's performance, and she chose to go the creative route like that and not even try to compete because she realized that she had no chance of competing against the top people or just about any of them. And she's big on doing things differently in this competitive sport, and this got me thinking about a movie that had that exact theme. The movie was about competitive ballroom dancing. The movie was 1993's Strictly Ballroom. I saw this in the theater back then and loved it. And the main character, he wanted to change or make the sport evolve, and so he introduced new moves and added a lot of comedy. It's really funny. And the character was told at some point the reason he shouldn't upset the sport because he had a relative who tried to do this. And when he was told this story, they'd show clips of this relative nowadays alone in his room doing these really weird moves that are just crazy. And it's just so similar to this story. And on top of that, this movie was notable for being a movie that wasn't made by Hollywood or the US. It's an Australian film. I will bet that she has seen this movie, and it may have helped inspire her performance.
I didn't know what to make of it. He started doing his own thing. Improvising, throwing in crazy, wild, crowd-pleasing steps. Matter of time before he lost touch with reality. He was convinced he and your mum could win the Pan Pacific Grand Prix dancing his own steps. Of course, they lost.
Left fans really.
Is that a kangaroo reference, Ronnie?
Another interesting thing that happened this August, you may have noticed, Democrats are now calling Trump supporters weird. It's kind of like a downgrade from other things they've been called, but I think it's pretty fitting. And that is a word that has become famous on my channel because I used it in 2019 to describe carnivore dieters, especially Frank Tufano. It was in a live debate I was having with one of them, and I didn't have that word planned. You'll see here in this clip, I was having trouble coming up with describing a certain problem in the community.
I left that industry, despite what some of your crazy crackpot supporters will say, oh, you got sacked. I never got sacked, Gary.
I was just going to bring up crackpots. Almost all of the people that promote what you are saying here are weirdos.
That's out of my sphere of control, Gary. What some of your crazy crackpot supporters...
I'm losing my mind.
That's in the eye of the beholder.
You can say it's subjective, but Frank...
I've always hinted and joked that a vegan diet made you attracted to the same gender.
That's just weird. I used that word again without even thinking about it. Just weird is the word. He's weird in just almost everything he does. So
Thyroid, thymus, ovary, and we also have some beef testicles. These are the whole frozen glands that we're going to be shipping on Frankie's free-range meat.
And I'm just going to continue to lose viewers. I'm going to throw her through the fucking brick wall. I'm not doing anything illegal. I've never had anyone get sick.
Like my neighbor's router is strong enough that I have to kind of basically just live in this godforsaken silver tent.
So many weird things going on, from estrogen, phytoestrogens, estrogenic fairy boys, estrogen, vegans that are obsessed with my handsome Italian ass. So many weird...
My parents are having mental psych episodes and they want me out of the house.
Hold on, am I losing my mind?
Frank Tufano. For those of you who don't know, he's this weird motherfucker.
Is staying locked inside like a rat for 6 months normal? To most people it is. Everyone is sitting inside with half a refrigerator full of food. One world government control over people's minds. It is crazy. It is absurd.
In the last couple of years, I've been pointing out the parallels between anti-vegans and right-wingers, and the fact that just about every anti-vegan I come across is also a right-winger. I've pointed out that most carnivores are weird, and now we got the Democratic Party calling right-wingers weird. So it turns out, when I called them weird in a debate, and people were laughing, it turns out I was ahead of my time. I suppose the first Democrat that used the word weird was Kamala Harris, who is now, as you know, the nominee for the Democratic Party going against Trump. And I'm with a lot of the Democrats. So when watching Tim Walz's son, who's 17, I was thinking, at some point, I will see right-wingers making fun of this guy, using this picture of him I was seeing on the screen. It turns out, I was watching this a day late, and by the time I was watching it, they were already making fun of him. They're making fun of one of these people and voting for the other one. The kid's name is Gus Walz. He has ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and anxiety disorder. Now, what's Trump's excuse? The Walz parents named their daughter Hope. Trump named his son after himself, which just shows blatant sociopathic selfishness.
Hope, Gus, and Gwen, you are my entire world, and I love you. I'm letting you in on how we started a family, because this is a big part about what this election is about.
On Wednesday night, Tim Walz's 17-year-old son, Gus, went viral for his emotional reaction to his father's speech proclaiming, "That's my dad," while tears streamed down his face. It is very important to note that Gus has special needs and a learning disability. Governor Walz and his wife, Gwen, revealed this earlier in the week in an interview with People magazine. Quote, "When our youngest, Gus, was growing up, it became increasingly clear he was different from his classmates and was met with praise and admiration. Even Ben Shapiro thought it was sweet, posting on X, 'This is really quite nice.' When you're on the more heartless side of an issue than Ben Shapiro, you really got to question what's going on in your life and in your heart. But that praise was, of course, met with ugly comments from the right and bullying, MAGA supporters, right-wing extremists like Ann Coulter posting this now deleted post saying, "Talk about weird." Unreal. Mike Crispy, a Trump supporter and podcaster, tweeting, "Tim Walz's stupid crying son isn't the flex the left thinks it is. You raised your kid to be a puffy beta male. Congrats." Does Barron Trump cry? Nope. Does he love his father? Of course.
One person in the comments, one of these videos, suggesting that he has these mental conditions because his father was in his 40s when his son was conceived, and he talked about the sperm being bad quality because of his age, which is true, but early 40s I don't think is that big a deal. And this guy used an example of milk, and that 40-year-old milk is going to be spoiled. Well, apparently these Trumpers think that 20-year-old milk is the good stuff. These are probably the same people that are spreading the bird flu by drinking raw milk. I made a video about that. When the Walz family came on stage after the speech, what you saw there was just a whole bunch of normal people, a normal family.
Meet my son Gus. He's a blubbering B expletive deleted boy. His mother and I are very proud. Weber also deleted his post and apologized because he didn't know Gus had a learning disability. But even so, does that excuse attacking a child? You'd like to think not.
This is from the party of family values. This is from the party of Christian values. This is the party of morality. I am so disgusted with this Republican to speak. These people don't give a damn. They would leave it up if they thought they wouldn't have legal ramifications or something else.
This is a beautiful country where families come in all shapes and sizes, all colors and creeds. That's great. We should welcome that. Someone loving their dad, that's your attack line. These people, like Tim Walz says, are weird.
Yeah, no doubt. And not just weird, not just racist, disingenuous people that use race baiting tactics just to aggravate and polarize and divide.
There are many Republicans, many Trump Republicans out on social media taking horrible attacks on a kid who had a beautiful moment of authentic pride and love for his father yesterday and got emotional. That cannot be the Republican Party. And the Republican Party cannot call itself the party of family values and the party of Christian values if they think it's okay to such viciously attack a 17-year-old kid with special needs. That is cruel. It is inhumane. It is disgusting. It is un-American, and it is unacceptable. And that is what this is about today, the contrast between hope and joy and empathy and compassion and that level of cruelty going on that side.
Ana Navarro not holding back one bit. And it is just true. It's a level of cruelty. They will take any political attack without thinking, without wondering about what this not only does to the person they're attacking, but what it does to their own public persona. They don't care.
This is a guy who's been found guilty in a court of law of conspiracy to defraud the United States, defraud the American voter by trying to nullify their votes, my votes, people who voted like I did, the crime of trying to stop an official government proceeding certifying the votes. If a person who committed these kind of crimes is not held accountable, someone else will do exactly what he has done. And we can't have that in a democracy. The last thing I want to talk about, recently RFK Jr. said, and he repeated a stupid line I've heard many times, that Trump would end the Ukraine war. What they don't say is how he would do that. I guess it's really clear how he would do that. He would hand the country of Ukraine to evil Russia on a gold platter. And conservatives have been talking about war as if it's a bad thing. Like they say, Trump didn't start any wars. Well, neither has Biden. They are trying to point to these two popular wars going on right now and blaming the Democrats for it. The Democrats have not started these wars or any other war in the last 4 years. But Trump sure created a lot of shit. So they're talking about war as if it's just bad and we just shouldn't have them going on. Well, I do believe that war should be a last resort, but sometimes humans push each other to that last resort. Russia started this war, and they started it for bad reasons. They want to dominate the world. They've wanted this for at least 60 years. The reason they want to dominate the world is to repress them, not to spread democracy, so they need to be fought back. I was just thinking, if we take the option of war off the table, then bad people will just do more bad things. And that reminded me of Trump saying something similar to that. He's talked about how he wants our enemies to think he would start a war, and that will be a deterrent. But hasn't he shown his hand that he wouldn't start a war, and that he's just acting like he would? I say he doesn't have the guts to start a war, and I don't think he cares enough to start a war. He doesn't care if people are suffering. An example of war is World War II. If we didn't fight that war and win it, you know what would have happened to the world? But instead, the world became a better place. We had the 50s. Then we had the 70s. It was just a great time. And of course, then the 80s, best time ever. So that wraps up my video. Check out my recent videos you may have missed. And if you like my commentary, search my channel for things you have an interest in. And I've probably covered it in some way.